Hey everybody at Facebook, the MLM Heretic here, coming at you with episode 11, The Tyranny of Choice. How many choices do you make during an average day? They should be simple, but they seem to take more time to decide what to choose. Now, when these choices are life-altering and really important, it can sometimes lead to what's called the paralysis analysis and crippling worry. I'm going to give you a scripture that will help you understand why having so many different options is driving this culture crazy. And it's from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 6, and the heading reads, The Cure for Anxiety. And I'm condensing it to make it a little bit shorter. So let's start at verse 25. Jesus is speaking. For this reason I say to you, do not be worried about your life as to what you will eat or what you will drink, nor for your body as to what you'll put on. Is life not more than food, and the body more than clothing? And which of you, by worrying, can add a single day to his lifespan? And why are you worried about clothing? You of little faith, do not worry then, saying, what are we to eat? Or what are we to drink? Or what are we to wear for clothing? For the Gentiles, the unbelievers, eagerly seek these things, all these things, for your heavenly Father knows that you need all these things. But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be provided to you. So do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. I recently read about a concept that brings out this principle of which Jesus was speaking to light. It's called the tyranny of choice. I like to sprinkle my understanding of the world with the scriptures and how the wisdom of God is communicated to us. A lot of people look at this passage in Matthew and think that Jesus is assuring us that God will provide you with something to eat and clothes to wear. In actuality, if you read it very carefully, you will see that he didn't say that you should worry about if you will eat, but rather what you will eat and what you will drink and what you will wear. It's an important distinction. Most people focus on their choices in life rather than wondering where their next meal is coming from. That's who Jesus is talking to. Most people who read the Bible are not struggling to find food, and they're not struggling to find clothing. Most people who are on Facebook have a closet full of clothes and a refrigerator full of food. This is a lesson for them. For the people who are really struggling to eat and are in desperate need of shelter, those people exist, and I'm not dismissing their hardship at all. But Jesus was talking to those people who had plenty of provision in their life, actually more than they needed, just like most of us do. So what I want to talk about today is something called the tyranny of choice, and how the amount of them available are causing a lot of anxiety and mental exhaustion. So everyone who is reading or watching this has been pre-programmed from birth by someone else. Parents direct our childhood behavior through their discipline and parental authority. Religious leaders teach their specific flavor of who they believe God is or is not. And your family probably directed your choice of them as well. The educational system gives you a formatted indoctrination that is pretty much the same for everyone, and you have to fit in with those parameters that they give you in order to thrive in an institutionalized society for the long term. Doctors tell you what is right for your personal health and whether or not you require medications or some other psychological or biological therapy. Employers dictate the terms of your work, the hours, your wages, and even the time you're able to be absent. Government officials build an impenetrable fortress of laws and tax code by which you're not free to circumvent under the penalty of prison or severe economical and financial hardship. The banking system, working with the full cooperation with the aforementioned government, controls how you're enslaved to their dominance in the financial markets, and they're not subject to the same rules which we are forced to obey. As a side note, if you don't know what the fractional banking system does to exploit you, Google it later. These are the 7 recognized institutions, and the reason why they are institutions is because they've been around a long time, and they can control what you see, hear, think, and believe due to the principle of their ability to control everything in their respective little kingdoms. Jesus, which, by the way, Jesus called the kingdoms of this world. Here's another one. Any peer group to which you belong is also responsible for shaping your beliefs about that institution. And if you're in network marketing, you belong to a peer group which is controlled by people who are in the upper echelons of that institution. The priesthood of MLM, as I like to call them, who control everything from the top down. And they control the narrative, the story of what is right and normal in order to build a business and succeed, so that what you hear is what they want you to believe, even though it's total bullshit. And that is this, that network marketing is a business for anyone, and that every company that you could join might or might not be a fit for you. But if anybody is making money in that company, then so can you. Now, there are a host of things I've already talked about on my blog and my video channel on YouTube and my lives right here on Facebook, debunking these lies and these what I call, myths of network marketing. These are the beliefs that I have had to discard myself in order to shape my own philosophy. Because when I was young and impressionable when I entered the industry, I thought but my best course of action would be wise to listen to someone with experience. Let me tell you, there are a lot of corrupt people in this industry passing themselves off as benevolent mentors. So it's story time for the tyranny of choice that is causing a lot of anxiety and confusion in this overwhelmingly stupid industry. On my Facebook wall today, I read a group post by a person in network marketing. And it was heartbreaking, but when I hear all too often, the story was heartbreaking. And I really felt sorry that I couldn't tell this person the whole truth about this industry. Well, here's what she said, and she was desperately seeking help from people enslaved to this institutionalized rhetoric that's in MLM. And of course, she got several different answers, but none of them really contained the seed of truth that she needed. Here's what she wrote. I have been struggling in my business. In 2018, it's 2021 now, so this is almost 3 years, if not more, depending on when she joined 2018. I signed up for this company. Here's what she did. I promised myself to work hard. I had bought the books, sent PMs, made phone calls, done lives, invited to meetings, paid and did trainings, etc. People signed up with no intention to do the business. And I go through spurts of having a few customers to none. Here's the thing. I love the products, but they are expensive. There's also 2 new network marketing businesses I've been approached for that have one similar product and cost less, but there are negatives about each for myself. I don't know if I should move on or find another network marketing business that has completely different products. Any advice? She, like so many others, is experiencing that tyranny of choice that the 2,000 companies which are currently in MLM, or more actually, more probably than that, is created. Too many choices leads to that paralysis of analysis, anxiety, and crippling worry I mentioned before. What is really interesting to me about the story is that she had the courage to be vulnerable and share her struggle with all these people, with all these strangers, which to me made me want to give her the entire answer. But since I'm on a group that's controlled by this guru, I was really unable to tell her what the real problem was that she was facing. I did give her some advice, but I had to hold back because I can't say everything I want in that group and be welcome there any longer, because if it's one thing institutions hate, it's dissent, and they do everything in their power to suppress it. It's infuriating to me that the institutionalized MLM industry is so resistant to change, even though everybody talks about it needing to change. Do you know what lip service is? That's all it is. There's a short story, parable, that I learned growing up, which highlights this principle of the tyranny of choice that makes people anxious and miserable. And it's called The Emperor's New Clothes. And it's easy enough to find All you have to do is Google it. If you're in network marketing, I want you to listen to this story very carefully and see if you can identify who the characters are and draw the parallels between the ones in the story and the ones in real life network marketing that we have today. Once upon a time, there was an emperor whose only interest in life was to dress up in fashionable clothes. He kept changing his clothes so that people could admire him. Once, two thieves decided to teach him a lesson. Now, I want to do a little commentary here as to the fact that there are two thieves. There being two thieves imply a conspiracy. More than one person conspiring in a group to defraud someone. Corrupt institutions don't operate on the principle of the lone wolf like me. Back to the story. They told the emperor that they were very fine tailors and could sew a lovely new suit for him. It would be so light and fine that it would seem invisible. Only those who were stupid could not see it. The emperor was very excited and ordered the new tailors to begin their work. One day, the king asked the prime minister to go and see how much work the two tailors had done. He saw the two men moving scissors in the air, but he could see no cloth. He kept quiet for fear of being called stupid and ignorant. Instead, he praised the fabric and said it was marvelous. Finally, the emperor's new dress was ready. He could see nothing, but he too did not want to appear stupid. He admired the dress and thanked the tailors. He was asked to parade down the street for all to see the new clothes. Now, this is interesting. Not only do you get the suit, but now you have to go show it to everybody. This is an important part of the metaphor because this is what's happening to people in the industry after they take these worthless trainings. They're putting it out to the public for all to see and be ridiculed after employing these stupid methods that do not work. In commentary, back to the story. The emperor paraded down the main street. The people could only see a naked emperor, but no one admitted it for fear of being thought stupid. They foolishly praised the invisible fabric and the colors. The emperor was very happy. At last, a child cried out, "The emperor is naked." Soon, everyone began to murmur the same thing, and very soon, all shouted, "The emperor is not wearing anything." The emperor realized the truth, but preferred to believe that his people were stupid. End of the story. I see so many people in network marketing refusing to hear anything critical of the industry, and they continue to believe the lies that the thieves have been selling them for decades. Mark Twain said it like this: "It is easier to fool people than it is to convince them that they have been fooled." The MLM trainers and the gurus are the thieves of this story who are making money and selling you non-existent hype and theory that has promised you the desired results of residual income through their training methods, which they're charging you ridiculous amounts of money, by the way. They're also the high priests of the industry who pretty much have a monopoly on controlling the narrative. So unless you're brave enough to admit that something about their philosophy or method of building a business is complete and utter nonsense from a business standpoint, then you're going to continue to struggle in this industry, just like this poor woman that I mentioned earlier. I am making a real transition from stupid network marketing methods that have a track record of dismal and documented failure to time-proven business principles. And I'm still looking for people who are open-minded enough to have the courage to take a look at what I'm attempting to do. I'm going to quote Herman Melville here because this captures my vision. He wrote Moby Dick, by the way. "It is better to fail in originality than to succeed in imitation. He who has never failed somewhere, that man cannot be great. Failure is the true test of greatness." If you're not open-minded, there's nothing I can say because you're still in the mode of insisting that the emperor is not naked. But I think that if you start to understand that the business principles in the real world are subject to the realities that network marketing doesn't like to acknowledge, because if they did, they would have to completely change their methods to achieve any lasting success, then you will begin to realize that your only path to real economic freedom is in applying those principles that are found in real business. The kind of businesses that the children of the story, who are the people outside of network marketing, mercilessly ridiculing it, they accept those principles as valid. and those types of businesses valid. Well, that was a long one, but it was fun for me. I hope it didn't break your brain. Have a great week, everybody. Thanks for listening.